Hey guys, Tom itself here. Something a little bit different from me today. Kerbal Space Program version 0.21 just came out. Been having a lot of fun with this game over the last few weeks, and I thought I'd share a little bit with you. It's not like my general FPS games, Call of Duty, Battlefield, or even Guild Wars RPG. This is this is something of a simulator, not quite. They make some compromises for enjoyability of gameplay. If you ever wanted to be a rocket scientist, this is the game for you. And they've done a really good job getting the sandbox parts of the game up and working, but I'm not going to go there. Version 0.21 came out. It looks to include some new scenarios. They're adding a lot more to the game as they slowly develop it. And so these scenarios are among those, and I didn't see anything on this particular scenario on YouTube yet, so I figured I would go ahead and use this to share some of the game with you. So what do we got? Well, it turns out Jeb's travel agent made some pretty bad arrangements for him, and he's currently on a crash course for the moon. And yeah, that would kind of be a bad thing, and so Jeb would kind of like to go home instead. That's what we're here to try to make happen. Spacecraft there, and the moon, spelled M-U-N because it's not actually our solar system. It's another one very similar, but again, they made some compromises for gameplay. And so we're headed on a crash course for the moon, and not so good. We don't have a lot of fuel, and and by the way, we have escape velocity from our mother planet Kerbin. Though in general, it's pretty not looking so good, so we gotta try and figure out how we're gonna get back. I can add in a maneuver node here that'll run the calculations for me, especially, like I said, limited fuel, so I need to plan out how I'm gonna do this so I can get back home and not just run out of fuel and die, floating around in space. So I'm gonna carefully tweak this maneuver node to try and get my orbit back closer to my planet. You see the little tiny green indicator back by the planet is marking the closest point I come to it, the periapsis, and I want to bring that just into the planet's atmosphere. I'm going to get a couple more chances to try and correct that, but in general, especially with this first burn that I'm going to make, I just kind of want to try and avoid hitting the moon. Avoid the immediately fatal situation. So I'll take some time, plan this out. You see, I've got set up the new maneuver node a couple minutes ahead of time where I am, and once I'm ready, once I think I've got that, looks like I need to burn about 75 meters per second delta V. I'll go ahead and set that up and start that burn. Throttle up there, and the timer tells me how long I need to burn to make that maneuver, and then I'll cut things off once I'm there. And hopefully that will mean that I do not end up smashing my face into the moon. That is the immediate concern, isn't it? Now, I admit I am still very much a noob in terms of Kerbal Space Program, and especially orbital mechanics. I'm starting to pick up some of the ideas, but I still don't have a good feel for it. So, for example, when the first couple times I tried to do this scenario, I was always thinking, I've got to make sure I slow down so I don't just smack into the planet and kill myself that way. Well, there's no way, at least I couldn't figure out a way with the limited fuel that I have in order to get back and establish a circular orbit somewhat closer to the planet. No, you just have to go in from this very wide elliptical orbit all the way back from the moon and just use the atmosphere to slow you down. It's not as bad as in real life, and for example, the heating effects aren't going to kill you, and the G-force isn't going to kill you. They haven't implemented that stuff yet, and so I don't have to worry about it. But still, the space that you have to work with when coming back in really fast all the way from the moon like this it makes it a little bit tricky, especially when you haven't done it before. So it's a good challenge. I think this is a good scenario that they have. Alright, and we have transitioned into relative to the moon instead of the planet there. It's showing a different perspective on things. Kind of freaks you out, but no, you're looking at the same thing, it's just showing a slightly different view. And so we're going to make a pass behind the backside of the moon. And as I get behind there, I am going to make another burn and try and get that periapsis a little bit closer into the atmosphere, make sure everything's on course, and then once I set that up, I will time accelerate forward to the burn. If I don't overshoot it, it's not a big deal, and then I'll go ahead and make that burn. What is that, 20-30 some meters per second? and that'll get me a little bit closer down into the atmosphere. Now, if I undershoot, I end up coming in too steep, the G-force will be bad, I'll probably end up coming in too fast, and that just won't work out. But if I'm not, if I come in too shallow, I'll just graze off the atmosphere and keep going around in orbit. If I hit the atmosphere, maybe I'd still come back around again, and eventually I'd slow me down enough the orbit would decay, but I don't really want to take my chances, because I'd come back out and I'd probably hit the moon again, and that might just fling me out into outer space. Things I don't really want to think about. Alright, we're going to make another burn here and hopefully get a little bit closer to the planet, and just one more step. And again, I'm accelerating forward, which seems really odd to me because I want to go home. One of the first things I learned in Kerbal Space Program was that when you want to go back to your planet, you want to just slow your orbit down, and that'll let the decay, and you can fall back. And here we're in a scenario where I want to speed up, and so that, I don't know, that seems a little odd to me, but that's orbital mechanics. Orbital mechanics, go figure. And we'll get one last look at the moon here as I fly by and head back towards planet Kerbin. This time we'll get the sun side of it, unlike the last time I went through the shadow side when I was in fast forward and I didn't get a good look at it. But this time we'll get a good look at all the craters and the texture work they did, and actually making this a little bit interesting. As I noted, this is just a scenario. It's kind of throw you in here and give you a challenge, and I think at least in this case, it was good in helping me learn some more about orbital mechanics and how the game works. How you're supposed to go about doing this, because my first couple attempts were just disastrous. I ran out of fuel and went spiraling off into space, and that was the end of that. Nothing more to be done. Most of this is, at least right now, is very sandboxy. You can find lots more videos on YouTube. It'll show off all the kinds of crazy stuff people try and do, but I don't know, there's a little bit more structure, especially trying to learn how everything works. Something like this gives me a good idea about what this game is about. So I'm gonna fast forward here a little bit and get into when I'm already close to the planet. As you don't want to see me, I spent a good 5 minutes, I think, just messing around with maneuver nodes, trying to get that periapsis was I come into the atmosphere at the right height. Because normally I'd have lots of fuel left over, I could slow myself down and just let gravity let gravity just slowly bring me back to the planet. And this time, I am just gonna kind of throw myself into the atmosphere and let it do the job. And so I've done this. I've made a couple tries at this before this run, and some of them, after falling off into space and not having any shot out, some of them I came back into the atmosphere, and it was fatal. But nonetheless, as I come back in on this run, I've got about 27 kilometers up my periapsis as I come in here from the moon, and that's what ended up working for me. So that meant that I dissipated enough energy in the atmosphere, just coming in a big fireball. This is the flame on there's no, like I said, this isn't going to kill me. I can come in at any angle, but it's still a little stressful to see your little tiny space pod engulfed in fire. And now, as you probably noticed, I went ahead and expended the rest of my fuel for what little good it did me. That's not much at all. And I thought I had detached the rocket engine and the stage, just so I just had the capsule and the parachute left, and apparently I didn't. So I'm coming in with the rocket engine on the front of my pod. Not exactly advisable, but it's not going to stop me. Still, it seems a little goofy. Anyway, guys, that's just about going to wrap it up as we watch re-entry here. Cross my fingers, and it ends up working out that, yes, the atmosphere slows me down enough. I want to say that I'm still working on getting the recording PC stuff all worked out. If you remember Guild Wars 2 stuff, that wasn't quite working right either. This probably looks better, but editing it is not going so great for me. So I got to get some more stuff figured out on my end before I can post a bunch more from PC. I don't know if I'll even put up more Kerbal Space Program stuff. I quite enjoy the game, but for the most part I don't really see the point in sharing stuff if I'm just following other people's demonstrations of what they're doing, or just coming up with crazy stuff to do and then crashing it myself. That doesn't seem the most entertaining thing, especially, like I said, I'm still having issues trying to do stuff on PC with gameplay footage, but I will get that sorted out. That is quite the fireball is coming in here. Alright, well, I am I will spoil this. I go ahead and make it safely to the ground. It worked out for me. That 27-kilometer periapsis brought me right back into the atmosphere, and I don't manage to land in the water. I hit the land, but I live nonetheless. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Want you guys watch the last minute or so of the footage. I say thanks for watching. Kerbal Space Program is it's been downloadable on their website, and it's on Steam too. It has frequent Steam sales. Pick it up for $20 or something like that. Not too expensive, but a fun little simulation program if you're if you're looking to be a rocket scientist. I'm gonna fast forward the last part here, and you'll see that I safely make it to the ground. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed something a little different. I don't want to give you the impression that I only play Call of Duty, even though that's mostly what I post. Change it up every now and again and show you something different. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.